is a natural disaster like there's been in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida, how about you help out every American in need? And how about you not steal the money from FEMA and give it to your unvetted illegal immigrants from 180 countries? Because their illegal immigrants seem to be prioritized and are way more important than the American people.
Yeah, so that's not happening. And importantly, we know that that's not happening. Money is not being diverted away from hurricane relief or any sort of natural disaster relief and given to migrants from all over the world. That is just not what's actually happening. And again, importantly, Sean Hannity knows that that's not what is happening. Now, we can speculate, you and I, about exactly why a guy who makes $25 million a year would spend his time misinforming you about what's actually happening in regard to a national tragedy. But we do know that he's purposefully misinforming you. And there's more than just that. We're gonna fact check all of this, but I wanna give you a few more of the lies.
You have DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas saying FEMA's running out of money and going bankrupt. This has not been a busy hurricane season. This after the FEMA directed more than $1 billion to pay for housing and food for Harris-Biden illegal immigrants. Because this story looks really bad for Democrats in charge. They are trying to just outright lie to you and pretend this is misinformation.
No, that was misinformation. We're gonna directly address everything that he said there and give you the actual information. But you do need to know how easy it is, how transparently shallow the misinformation tends to be. And you're familiar, I'm sure, at this point with quite a bit of it. The $750 thing where, oh my God, people hit by Helene are only getting $750. It seems crazy because it is, that's not what happens. There is a expedited delivery of $750 for immediate relief, and then all of the normal relief that you would expect. And Fox knows that, Sean Hannity knows that, Donald Trump knows that, but it sounds good to pretend that your relief is being capped at $750, especially if some Guatemalan is getting more, but it's a lie. It's simply a lie. And everything that he said there about FEMA running out of money because they stole money to give it to migrants is not at all how it works. He knows it's not how it works. Fox, by the way, knows that's not how it works. One of Fox's people tweeted out that they'd obtained a fact sheet assembled by the majority side of House Appropriations Committee. That's the Republican side, by the way. So Republicans gave to Fox this information, saying that FEMA, quote, has enough funding in the short term to address immediate needs for both Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. It also declares that, quote, there is no funding connection between the migrant shelter program and the disaster relief fund. It adds there is no intermingling of funding between these two programs. It adds that, quote, the only connection is that both programs are administered by FEMA. There are actually three pots of money here that you need to understand are separate. Sean Hannity would love to pretend that they are all the same. So there is FEMA's normal operating budget. Okay, that is one thing. There is the money FEMA uses in the aftermath of disasters. That is a different pot of money. Mayorkas was not talking about that money. It is different. And then there is also the money that was given mainly to border states. Sean Hannity apparently would like that money to not go to border states. Screw Texas. You don't get any money to help with migrants. That's all different money. No money is being taken from one to being given to another. And if you're talking about the difficulty in funding one program or another, I think it's responsible for someone who makes dozens of millions of dollars a year to at least look into what money is which. And again, we have a lot more. We'll get to more, but Sharon, I know I've thrown a lot out there. What do you think?
I mean, it's just incredible. There was a time 14, 15 years ago when Sean Hannity was less of a liar. He was involved in propaganda. I remember we had a friend in common. I spent time with Sean on the phone and he was a funny guy, still involved in propaganda. This is off the deep end. And it just took, I wasn't running a clock on it, but it took several minutes for you to unpack just those lies so far. And imagine people, because you said earlier, maybe a minute or so ago, why won't the people, in these southern states, in these places where this disaster, why won't they just care a little bit more about the people and the truth? I did local news in Georgia, right here in Atlanta. And you know what our weather person was told? because of Sean Hannity's lies and these kinds of things, convincing everyday people that there's no such thing as climate change. There's just stop it. They were told to stop talking about that. Do not, that's not the word you want to use. We had whole meetings about it in focus groups. The weather people, meteorologists with SEALs were told, you cannot say that. That's what the lies do. Because you made me actually for a second have empathy for my fellow Americans who are believing this trash, or that, what Marjorie Taylor Greene believes, that Santa's helpers are on loan from the North Pole and they're creating the next category 5 and dropping it in red states. I have empathy because everywhere they turn, I guess I am a little entrenched in this and looking for the truth. Everywhere they turn, there's a lie. Yeah. And this lie will kill people just like the COVID lies did. It's actually going to kill people.
100%. Yeah, some people won't believe it. Some people won't think it's something they need to prepare for. And we shouldn't be too shocked. This is admittedly a very small version in terms of how many people will die and how many lies are being told than what we went through during the pandemic. I mean, after that, you think Fox is going to balk at telling someone something that might kill them? They knew what they were doing. And if you're a conservative, you need to know why. They're not doing it because they hate their audience and they want them dead. I don't think they particularly care if they die, and they certainly don't respect their audience, but those are two different things. They're doing it for ideological reasons. It's convenient to have these sorts of things. But also, again, we don't tell you how much these congresspeople are getting paid by fossil fuel industries just because we like trivia here at TDR, although as a side note, we do. No, we do it because that is what drives a lot of this. They have gotten those checks, they're paying back the corrupt interest that gave it to them, and they want more. Byron Donalds has only gotten, less than $200,000 from oil and gas so far in his short career. He'd really like a couple million more, let alone if he stays on as a congressperson, if he ever runs for governor, runs for Senate, he wants them to bankroll his campaign. So it's corrupt in protecting their interests. It's corrupt in protecting and advancing his own interests. And you make that omelet by smashing some eggs, and the egg might be your house or your family. That is why we stress it so much. And again, we could run through all this. Trump is literally telling people they stole the FEMA money like they stole it from a bank. That literally did not happen. That is not a thing. We should, again, I say this all the time now. I don't think we should have high standards for our politicians because this is America, it's 2024, and that would be unrealistic. But I do think our standards should be higher than whatever the hell that was. And he ends it, this is perfect closed loop. They're stealing money from the hurricanes to give to the migrants, quote, that they want to have vote for them this season. People aren't crossing the border and voting 2 weeks later. First of all, it's illegal. Second of all, it's insane. You deranged old fool. We're not gonna fact check it all again. And after all of this, Sean Hannity telling you, they stole the money, you deserve that money, but they stole the money, they don't care about you like we do, and Trump doing the same thing. I'll remind you of the story we talked about yesterday. House Speaker Mike Johnson says, we're not coming back from recess early to do funding for the hurricanes. I gotta add up some numbers and stuff. We'll get to it in a month. We're gonna be back in a month. You'll be fine. Just camp out on the wreckage that was once your home or business. And after a month, we'll add up some numbers and maybe we'll give you a little bit of money or something. And so believe the lies about the party that is literally giving you the funds right now and ignore what the other side, the one you trust, is actually doing, saying, I don't think it's a priority to give you any money. I don't understand why people would have those positions, but millions and millions of people do. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?